Ladies and gentlemen of the House, this has nothing to do with discrimination. Absolutely nothing. This has to do with consumer choice, but this also has to do with the public sector intentionally coming in and seizing private property. And it's forcing relationships that are required by the state now. It has nothing to do with discrimination. It's already illegal right now to discriminate. But if you have a policy as a landlord and your policy is you don't want to accept credit card, if your policy is you don't want to accept cash, maybe your policy is you only want to accept a check, now under this legislation it is forcing a public-private partnership with the state and the federal government. Now, we already have programs under Section 8 housing, under RAD programs throughout the state of Illinois that work with this. But if you're a mom-and-pop landlord and you own one property, you are now required to work with the federal government on Section 8 housing vouchers if every other parameter is met. But I think, Representative Ford, we had a spirited debate in the committee, and I just respectfully disagree with your philosophical position on discrimination. This has nothing to do with discrimination. I think we're too loosely using the word discrimination. What we're talking about is it's already illegal to discriminate. It's already illegal to not rent to somebody based off of the list that we've already established under law. But what we're saying is if a landlord creates criteria with their own business model and they don't want to work with the federal government, under this legislation you're now requiring them to. But that's not the piece that's most upsetting. What's most upsetting about this piece of legislation is our former lieutenant governor, who's a Republican, is sponsoring it. That is the most outrageous piece of legislation I've ever seen a Republican support. She was our key witness. Now, Representative Ford, I do think it's quite interesting that you're working with the Rauner administration. But I can tell you, this is bad policy. And I know you disagree with the Rauner administration on many occasions. And while I don't expect you to disagree with me today, I can tell you on the Republican side of the aisle, this is again failed Rauner Sanguinetti policy, and I strongly urge a no vote.